Okay, so I think we're live here. And I gotta take this down so you can see what I'm doing. All right, so this is gonna be a relatively short stream. All we're gonna do today is shuffle these seeds a few times. I'm gonna roll this dice and we're gonna see what the result is. And then I'm gonna hit the shuffle button that number of times. Now, I know with my son participating in this event, I want to go above and beyond to make sure that there is no way that there can be any accusations of me trying to like pick a favorable matchup for him or anything like that. So I want this to be as above board as I can make it. So I'm going to take this dice. Oh man, I wonder if I can roll it in something. Well, this is just going to be what it is. All right, so I'm going to roll the dice. This is the result I got. That's not. There we go. 6. This is kind of janky. So I rolled this and I got a 6. So I'm going to shuffle these seeds 6 times, and then we're going to hit pairings. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right, so that was our shuffle. You can see here all 16 of the names shifted around every time. And I cannot from this screen see how the bracket's going to shake out, although knowing what I know about brackets, you can kind of determine who's going to be playing who from this screen. So we did our 6 randomizations. We're going to go back over to our bracket here and so this still says that this bracket is a preview and is subject to change once the tournament is started. However, what I'm going to do right now is click Start Tournament. So we are thus beginning Build Phase League 8. Thanks to all of our players for participating. Thanks to Danny and Ben for being willing to help out with prize support. Thanks to the viewers who are into this as an event, because that's really cool too. So I want to take just a second here before I sign off, and I'm going to look at some of these pairings. I have not, other than proofreading and checking for errors, I have not really gone over everybody's roster and thought about it in terms of the strategic matchups, and that's maybe something I might do a little bit later today. But we've got Earl and Jason, Whitman and David, Peter and James. Oh, Joe Vitelli going up against Robert. So we've got... See, I'm now revealing, I'm not sure... I don't know what this dude's first name is. I should have just read what was here instead of saying everybody by their first name. So this newer player, which is exciting to see, who I don't well enough to know his real name and his screen name and have that all together. Facing off against Ralph from Team Apex. We got Osh versus Roland from the Resource Row. Recent finalist in Quarantine Cup 3, Oshan. And I think Lindenmuth is Stormbreaker on Discord, which I've only played with him a couple times. Again, a newer player, which is exciting to see some new blood in here. Unfortunately, going up against Vern, one of the most seasoned players we have in the Versus community, is an intimidating matchup, potentially. And then Jamar versus, I believe this gentleman's name is Jeremy? I suppose I have the roster right here. I could confirm. Yes, so it was Jeremy and Steve were the 2 first names that I didn't immediately know. I apologize to you guys. I promise I will get to know everybody over time. It's cool that we now have so many people active in the Versus sphere that it's difficult to keep up with all the new folks coming in. So we did... I wonder if I can... Hang on, let me... There we go. You can see that a little bit better now. So we did get a pretty good variety of different main characters here. Obviously, Rogue shows up a little bit more often than some other people, but that makes good sense. I love that Sister Grimm showed up. Shout out to Earl for playing my favorite main character, even though I'm not sure she's still good in a fully open card pool, but I'm glad to see her show up. I'm glad to see some other kind of interesting choices, like Vern grabbing Hawkeye Illustrated. I think is really cool. Like, his arrows have always been kind of fun. I've never been sure if he could really hang in a competitive environment, but we're going to find out unless everybody bans him, which I doubt will happen. So I didn't plan on doing this, but I'm going to look down the whole list of everybody's main characters, and I don't have a roster, so I can't cater my ideas to what I would play, but I'm going to kind of glance over this and, well, my intent was to go, oh, this is this person's best character and this is this person's best character. But you know what? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to put my thumb on the scale. Maybe after we get some rounds going, I don't want to influence anybody's bands. So I'm going to shut up at this point. We now have our pairings here, our bracket all set up. If anybody, oh, and because I moved it, there we go. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to me or to Joe with regard to whatever may come up. If you remember, for players to submit your band, you need to submit your band through Joe, not directly to the other player. The reason for this is because if I give you my ban first, then you have more information than me, and that can inform how you ban on my roster, and you get a little bit better control over the matchup. And we wanted to close the door on that little bit of advantage entirely. So again, I've said it many times. I'm going to say it one more time. Do not submit your bans directly to your opponent. Submit your bans to Joe, and Joe will let both you and your opponent know what MCs are banned for your matchup. For players that want to bang these games out as quick as possible, if Jason and Earl play and Whitman and David play, and we know who's going to be in the round 2 matchup, even if some of these other round 1 matchups have not happened yet, you guys can go ahead and play your round 2 matchups. Because this is single elimination, this should go pretty quickly, and we are going to know who's going to be playing who. There's no rankings like with Swiss where your standings kind of change based on what other players do. Either you win and you move on, or you lose and you're out. So if you're looking at your semifinal match and somebody over here is still held back, I have no problem with if the top bracket gets to the final table before the bottom bracket, or vice versa. I'm not trying to throw shade at our lower bracket players. All I'm saying is don't feel like you have to wait a whole week in between your games. If we can bang through this event a little bit quicker, I wouldn't mind doing that. And if ultimately this kind of format where we can fire these build phase seasons off a little bit faster ends up being something people like, I would be open to trying to continue to do this in the future. I feel like if BPL 7, I kind of had like a half idea, and it didn't end up making anybody as happy as I would have liked. We didn't ultimately end up having the kind of season we wanted, and I think some of the players didn't like the way BPL 7 drug on. So we're going to try to do this one. We're going to stay on top of it. There's no midwinter to pull my focus off of making sure this event runs correctly right in the middle of it. So welcome to BPL 8. Good luck to all of our competitors. Thank you to all of our competitors, and we'll see you guys on the playmat.